Well, hello, everyone. This is Billy Trout with the Tennessee Department of Revenue's Taxpayer Education section. And with me today, we have Katie Julian, who is going to, or we together are going to present to you some updated information on business tax for contractors. This needed to be updated based on some law changes that happened in last year's legislation. So we wanted to go ahead and do a new recording that gave you the most information in the best format possible. So I want to thank Katie for coming up with this presentation. And Katie will go ahead and go through it, and I'll pop in and offer some comments at different times.
Great.
Katie, thank you very
All right.
much.
Thanks, Billy, and thanks to all of you joining us. At this point, it will be by watching the recording of this webinar. We originally held it in March of 23, right at the exact same time a piece of legislation was coming through that eventually resulted in the Tennessee Works Tax Act that resulted in major changes to lots of different tax type, but specifically business tax and very specifically for contractors, enough so that we decided we should re-record this. So it was right at a year ago that we held this webinar and recording it in March of 2024 to let you all know about the big updates. So today we're going to be talking about the special business tax registration and licensing and tax compliance rules with regards to contractors. They kind of are in a category of their own when it comes to business tax and treated in a different way. We're going to be talking about in-state contractors, out-of-state contractors, how to file, including how to claim those subcontractor deductions, how to close locations when it comes time or when it's needed so you don't end up getting into collections or getting assessments on returns that you don't even need to file. We're also going to share with you some resources and going to be talking a little bit also about that Tennessee Works Tax Act that made all these changes to business tax law. So the Tennessee Works Tax Act was signed into law in May of 2023 by Governor Lee. You can see here a link to the important notice. If you're watching this video, you can also go to the same place that you access the video, the webinar video library, and see a PDF of this presentation as well. From the PDF, you'll be able to click on the links that you see in here. So that important notice 23-08, that's a hyperlink that if you have the PDF, you can open that up. So there were lots of changes to tax law as a result of the Tennessee Works Tax Act, franchise excise tax, sales tax, business tax. The big change in a nutshell was what used to be a $10,000 threshold. Over 10,000, you were required to obtain a standard business license and required to file and pay business tax if you had gross receipts over 10,000 within your fiscal year. That raised to 100,000. Well, the rule was always a little bit different and wackier when it came to contractors. There was kind of this $50,000 threshold that was smashed in there, which required you to be able to need to get a contractors to get a license, and file business tax in what we call deemed locations. We'll discuss what that means here in a minute, but that threshold has also raised to 100,000. So what is a contractor? In Tennessee law, a contractor with regards to business tax is considered receiving compensation from rendering exterminating services, installing tangible personal property, or constructing, building, erecting, repairing, grading, lots of different things there, but basically to real property. Um, if you are a hired on contract, but you are an interior decorator or you work on computers, those are not the contractors we're talking about here. We're talking about building contractors. So installing tangible personal property or building or making changes to real property, also exterminating services. So what makes contractors so different in business tax law? The biggest thing is that in regular business tax law, for most businesses out there, you're going to need a license from where you're located, right? What we call a domicile, where your business is domiciled, where it's based out of. That's how you will consider what kind of license you need from where. Well, for contractors, Class 4 contractors, You have also something called a deemed location. A deemed location is a county or a municipality where a contractor is not domiciled, but where the contractor earns gross receipts of over 100,000. So you could be housed in Franklin, Tennessee. The contractor could be based out of Franklin, Tennessee, but do work in Hickman County, in Rutherford County, and anywhere. So if they do over 100,000 in another county outside of where the contractor is based, then that is considered a deemed location. And we'll talk here in a minute about what that means when you have a deemed location. So working through the bullets here, taxable receipts from contracts performed in each deemed location must be reported on the return for the county or municipality where that work was performed. Taxable receipts of 100,000 or less from compensations from contracts in a county or municipality other than your domicile, so in a outside of your home base, must be reported for the county and or municipality that you're domiciled in. We have a chart here in the next couple slides. It's going to kind of chart out what I just said in words and what you see written out here. So a contractor is going to be responsible for correctly determining the jurisdiction of each job and obtaining licensing and filing business tax accordingly. You'll see a link at the very bottom of this slide. So if you're in the PDF on slide 5 of the jurisdictions that require business license. Now, every county in Tennessee is going to require a business license, not all 95 counties. So if you're a contractor making over 100 in a deemed location, um, every county you'll need a license from. Certain municipalities, cities, towns, only certain municipalities require business license. Most of them actually do. But for a listing, you'll see the link there at the bottom of the slide. You can click on that link to find out which all municipalities require business tax and business licensing. Yes, Billy.
Yeah, Katie, you might find it interesting too for those that are viewing the recording is that almost every incorporated city in Tennessee has passed that. There are very few exceptions. I'll mention one because it's local here and sort of larger. The city of Nolensville, the town of
Oh,
Nolensville.
right.
Yeah,
Yep.
sort of
Shocking, huh?
larger these days, if you've ever driven through there, but they don't have business tax. They've never passed an ordinance. So
Right.
who knows? They might change that in a few months. I don't know. That's up to them. But there's tons of unincorporated towns
Hmm.
out there, and they do not have business tax. But like you're saying on that listing, the listing tells you, and you can look that up pretty easily, rather. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. Thanks, Katie.
Thank you. So yeah, most incorporated municipalities are going to require, but it's up to you as the contractor to figure out whether a business license will be required and whether business tax will be required. And hopefully, this webinar and this information we're going to give you will help you determine that. All right, so we're going to talk for just a minute about the business license. The business license and business tax are very tied in together. The standard business license, I should say. When you get your initial business license, whether it be a standard license or a minimal activity license, you're going to obtain that locally. So in the county, and then if there is if the work is in a municipality that has business tax and business license, you'll obtain that there. Now, the local official is going to transmit the information when you apply for your initial license to us, the Tennessee Department of Revenue. That is going to automatically register a standard business license holder for business tax. Um, Now, to renew a standard business license, you're going to file and pay business tax. Then we let the clerk know that you have filed and paid business tax, and they'll renew that license for you. For a minimal business license, you will go directly to the local official at the municipal level or the county level to renew that license. Minimal business licenses are not tied in with business tax. So here's where the big change happened this year and where the licensing and the taxes all kind of come together, hopefully for you. So the far left column here, we're talking annual gross receipts here. Between zero and basically $3,000 in annual gross receipts, you don't need a license and you don't need to report business tax. Between 3,000 and 100,000 in gross receipts, so with no deductions, just gross receipts, in your domiciled location, which is where you're based out of, where the contractor, if it's a home-based business, where that home is, just where the business is based out of. $3,000 to $100,000 in annual gross sales, you're going to need just a minimal activity license the from your local jurisdiction. That's a big change here because that used to be a $10,000 threshold. Now it's 100,000. So between 3 and 100 in your domicile location, just a minimal activity license that you'll purchase from your county clerk, and then renew each year at your county, and or municipal office. Now we're going to talk about the what happens if you make between 3 and 100,000 gross in an area that's outside of your domiciled location. You need no license in that jurisdiction, but the receipts that you make in other jurisdictions that are under 100, you will report those over on your domiciled business tax return for the county and municipality that you're domiciled in. Now, if you're doing work in a municipality outside of your own and you are not in a municipality yourself, so if you're a contractor and you're based out of an unincorporated area in your county and you have gross receipts under 100 in another municipality, those gross receipts will not be reported anywhere if they're under 100. So for over $100,000 in any jurisdiction, whether it's your domicile location or area outside of your domicile jurisdiction, which is also known as a deemed location, you're going to need a standard license from that jurisdiction, and you'll report all receipts from those jobs on the municipality or county where they were performed. We're going to see how that looks in some examples here next. So in this first example, we've got a contractor that's located in Clarksville in Montgomery County. So we've got a kind of ledger here on the left in this blue box of all their gross receipts. They had $1,505,000 in Clarksville, Montgomery County. They did $110,000 in gross receipts in Madison County, City of Jackson. They did $35,000 in Springfield, in Robertson County, $1.5 million in Shelby County, but in an unincorporated part of the county, so no municipality there, no city listed, and a little over 105,000 in Morgan County in the town of Oliver Springs. All right, so we're going to look here. I'll go back one page. For between $3 and $100,000 in your domiciled location, you only need a minimal license, right? So they did over that in their domicile location. So they're going to need a standard license there. Let's go back again here. If you do between 3 and 100,000 in an area outside of your jurisdiction, you don't need a license. And if you do over 100 in any jurisdiction, so within your domicile or outside, you'll need a standard license. So let's look back here at this chart again. Madison County, City of Jackson, over 100. So that's a deemed location. We're going to need a standard license there. 35,000 in Robertson County, Springfield, that's under 100. So no license is needed in Robertson or Springfield. $1.5 million in Shelby County, definitely going to need a license there because it's over 100. And over 100 in Morgan County and Oliver Springs, which will require a license from both of those jurisdictions. All right, that's step one, figuring out where you need a license from. Next step is how are the receipts sourced? Where are the gross receipts going to get reported? On which return will they be reported? So on the Clarksville return, hey, Billy.
Hey, Katie. So, I think, in the Shelby County one here,
Mm-hmm.
where we have $1.5 million, of course, that's going to go to Shelby County too. Not sure that that's showing in our grid. on
Oh,
the right
somehow it's
side.
not on the grid,
Yeah,
right?
but that's okay. Just wanted to point
Okay.
that out. No big deal. But just in case anyone gets confused with that. But other than that, I think what Katie is saying is absolutely 100% correct. I think just splitting this out is what you're getting at, and this is exactly what we're here to learn.
Well, now, see, we're re-recording this, and now I'm thinking, gosh, should we start over and I fix that and we re-record it again, Billy? I don't know. Let's just keep on going. Like he said, Shelby would definitely be reported on a Shelby County return. So add that to the bottom down here. But going back up to the top of this list, 1,540,000 is going to be receipted on the Clarksville return because we got 1,505,000 in Clarksville. And then there was this little amount right here, 35,000, that was done in Springfield that'll get reported back over on the domiciled Clarksville return. Montgomery County, same thing. There was 1,505,000 from receipts in Montgomery County, and that Robertson County 35,000 is going to get reported over on the Montgomery County return because it was under 100,000 in a jurisdiction outside of Clarksville, Montgomery County. All the other amounts here are over 100,000, so they're going to get receipted and get reported over on the return for those jurisdictions for the town of Jackson, Madison County, town of Oliver Springs, and Morgan County. And again, like Billy said, just make sure to remember Shelby here is added to the receipts being sourced to Shelby County. No municipality there because the work was performed in an unincorporated area. All right, we're going to play this out again using another example where we've got some jobs where there's several different municipalities within a county that jobs are done in. So the contractor is domiciled in Chattanooga, which is in Hamilton County. So here is the ledger of this contractor's receipts for the fiscal year. You've got 250,000 in Hamilton, Chattanooga. That's the domicile location. 40,000 in jobs that are in Hamilton County, Red Bank, 60,000 in East Ridge, and then $100,000 in gross receipts in unincorporated Hamilton County. We'll go ahead and talk right now real quick. You need this contractor is going to need definitely a Hamilton County business license, well over 100 there, so the standard license needed, and over 100, well, definitely a standard license in the domicile, Chattanooga, and no other licenses within municipalities in Hamilton County are needed because they are under 100,000 in gross receipts for the year. All right, so did some work in Bradley County, 150,000 in Cleveland, which is in Bradley County. So a license definitely needed for both Bradley and City of Cleveland. Little job in unincorporated Bradley County for 35,000. Marion County, City of Whitwell, sorry, 20,000 in gross receipts and 15,000 in Jasper. No license needed in any of those, not for Marion County, not for Whitwell, and not for Jasper because it was under 100. Now, one thing I want to point out here is that if both of these Marion County jobs had been under 100 but added up to over 100,000, then a Marion County license would have been required. But just so happens here in this example, it's under 100 for the county. How are those receipts going to get sourced? For Hamilton County, we're looking at the entire amount. So you're going to add up all 4 jobs that are in Hamilton County, and you're going to get 450,000 there. Add into that the 35,000 from Marion County. That's adding together this amount and this amount, both jobs in Marion. So those are going to get, since they're under 100 and they're from a jurisdiction outside of the contractor's domicile location, those get reported on the contractor's domicile return. So in the Hamilton County return, we're going to see those Marion County amounts. For the City of Chattanooga, we've got the 250,000 that took place, the jobs that were performed in Chattanooga. So we've got that right here. We've got the 40,000 that was performed in Red Bank, 35 in unincorporated areas, I'm sorry, that's the 35 that was in the unincorporated Bradley. The Whitwell, the Jasper, and then the East Ridge amount. All of those are going back to the city of Chattanooga return for this contractor because that is their domicile location. Bradley County added those two together, so well over 100 there. So those receipts are gonna get reported on the Bradley County return. And then of course, $150,000 job in Cleveland will get reported on City of Cleveland's return. It's a little more complicated for contractors, isn't it? All right, we've got one more example for an in-state contractor to show you here. Yes, Billy.
I just wanted to point out, and Katie, you did such a good job of explaining this too, but just one thing to kind of make people feel a little bit better about the situation is that when you're on TNTAP, as long as you have registered all of your locations properly in all the little cities and counties that you need to be in, that's really three-fourths of the battle. Okay.
Right.
What, because all you're doing at that point is you're just plugging in numbers. And when you plug in the numbers, TNTAP will calculate it for you. So you don't have to get real complicated about doing this and cross adding this and all that. You're just basically making sure that you put the numbers in the right areas. And again, the whole idea behind this too is that the state legislature wanted these counties and these cities to have the ability to get money from contractors as opposed to it all going back to their home locations. Okay. So the reason that we're all working so hard here is because of the will and intent of the legislature. Okay. But
Right.
but yeah, just keep focused on just trying to get registered properly. And we're going to give you some hints here in a little while about some different things to think about as well. So thank you.
For sure. And I would say in order to figure out where to get registered, keeping a ledger somewhat like this, like the blue table that I have on each of these examples of just totals, gross receipts totals in everywhere you're doing work. And when you hit that threshold, especially when it's outside of your jurisdiction, when you hit that threshold, you'll know it's time to go get that license. Now, I will say, obtaining a license, when you're a contractor, you may need to get a license even if our business tax law says based on your gross receipts, you don't need a license in a certain jurisdiction. But if the local codes enforcement or to be able to pull a permit, a building permit, if they required a license, you would need to do whatever they're requiring. We're just talking about business tax law here. So we're looking at one more final in-state contractor example. And in this example, we're looking at a contractor who's based in an unincorporated area. In this situation, it's unincorporated Hamilton County. So we've got the same chart here on the left that we saw in the last one, but now our contractor's not located in a municipality. So there's one major change here. And that we'll go ahead and look at how these receipts are sourced. We're still adding the Hamilton and the Marion together. The city of Chattanooga, where this contractor has a deemed location because they did over 100,000, is going to need that amount there, 250,000 reported on a city of Chattanooga return. And then just Bradley County uh, and city of Cleveland. Everything else doesn't, the other amounts here, Red Bank, East Ridge, those Whitwell, Jasper, those municipalities are not getting sourced anywhere because they're under 100 and the contractor is based in an unincorporated area. If you remember, for those receipts that are in jurisdiction between 3 and 100,000 gross receipts, they're going to get sourced back to the contractor's home. Well, this contractor's home isn't in a municipality, so there's no municipality to even source it back to. So those amounts do not get sourced anywhere. They don't get sourced to any municipality, I should say. All right, now we're going to talk about out-of-state contractors. It's a lot simpler. Between 0 and 100,000, contractor's not going to need any license and no reporting requirements there. If a contractor, an out-of-state contractor, makes over 100,000 in any jurisdiction, a standard license is going to be needed from that jurisdiction, and the receipts are reported where the work was done. All right, we're going to look here at the out-of-state contractor example 1. Contractor is domiciled in Kentucky, but receives compensation of $10,000 in Davidson County, $121,000 in Williamson County, and $5,000 in Sumner County during a tax period. Because he has receipts of $100,000 or more in at least one Tennessee county, this contractor should definitely file one return with the Tennessee Department of Revenue. Taxable receipts are $121,000. Only the receipts from counties where he earns over or at least $100,000. If you look at the chart here, you're going to see $10,000 to Davidson County, not reported because the receipts are under $100,000 there. $121,000 to Williamson County, out-of-state location return, and then $5,000 was done in Sumner County. That is not reported because it's under $100,000. And of course, a standard license will be required from Williamson County in this example. One more out-of-state contractor example. This contractor is domiciled in Georgia and receives compensation of $162,000 in Chattanooga, Hamilton County, $112,000 in Bradley County unincorporated, and $123,000 in Polk County unincorporated, and then $60,000 in the town of Dunlap in Sequatchie County. So we're going to look how all that breaks down here. We've got a total of 162 done in Hamilton County that's reported to Hamilton County, and of course a license is going to be needed there because it's over 100,000. 162 needs to be reported to City of Chattanooga and a standard license there. 112 to Bradley County, 123 to Polk County, 60,000 and 60,000 here. The Sequatchie Dunlap not reported anywhere because it's under 100,000. A little bit simpler for out-of-state contractors. So when it comes to filing the business tax return, you're probably aware of this by now, but business tax returns are required to be filed electronically through our TNTAP system. We do have a webinar that is filing the business tax return. You can see a link there or a link to the PDF of that. We also actually in February of 2024, we recorded a business tax overview, business tax basics, general overview webinar. You can find that in our business tax library, webinar library as well. So gross sales are reported per location on line 1 of the return. If you watch the webinar or look at the materials from the business tax, filing the business tax return webinar, we'll go into more detail about that. I will say that most businesses report sales for their period in which the sale was made. However, contractors report business tax on a cash basis. Progress payment charges billed pursuant to a contract are going to be reported in the period for which the payments are received. And this is a big one for contractors here. Payments made to subcontractors. This is where you take those gross receipts on line 1 and you're actually able to deduct out all payments made to subcontractors, but you have to fill out this particular schedule that we've got, or it's a worksheet in our return. So this is deducted on the business tax return on Schedule A, lines 2 and 8, and it's calculated by completing Schedule C, which, like I said, is looks like a worksheet on TNTAP. If you can look closely here on this slide, there's a kind of a snip of what that Schedule C looks like. The information that Schedule C is asking for is the name of the subcontractor, the address. You're going to need the amounts that were paid to each subcontractor during the fiscal year, and also a license number or contractor's license number of that subcontractor. That is required information when filling out this Schedule C. So the contractor who's filing the return is going to be responsible for gathering all this information, the name, address, license number, and maintaining copies of those subcontractor licenses in your records. So very important to keep good records when it comes to the amounts you're paying to subcontractors and getting the information you're going to need in order to deduct those payments out on the Schedule C. You do have the ability to upload a CSV file. You will see that a lot of, especially with subcontractors, if you've got a long list of these, that might be something that you want to want to do via CSV file. But here's information about CSV files. We've got information on our website. I'm going to take you over there in just a minute that will help you with more information about how to upload CSV files. And here's a link to the page I was just telling you about that I was going to show you. Basically instructions for uploading those files and uploading the business tax return, and the subcontractor instructions are all on this page that we're linking to here. And now we're going to talk for just a minute about closing locations. If a contractor finishes a job in a municipality with no prospect of another job in that municipality and wants to close the location, you can do that on TNTAP. You are going to need to file a return if you're closing it in the middle of a period. If you want to pay close attention to the date that you're using to close out that location. Just to make sure that it falls in line with when you have last filed a return. So to close a location, you can do that very easily on TNTAP. You will just click on additional actions and licenses from the business tax account, and then the next option will say, the next page will give you an option to close locations, and then from that point it will walk you through whether you want to close all or some of your locations, and it's pretty self-explanatory at that point. Definitely an easy thing to do on TNTAP. Yes, Billy.
Yeah, so let me just point this out real quick. In dealing with contractors over a number of years here on this topic, what you guys want to do is to make sure that you're working ahead a little bit. Okay. So for most of you, your tax returns are due on April 15th, the 15th day of the fourth month following the end of the period. So that's not a real great time to be manipulating 24 different locations. Okay. A good time to do that is now. So as you get an opportunity to go in and self-administer this, that's fine. I will also mention this too, and Katie, you may have alluded to this, I don't know, but we do have a number of contractors that are just like, well, I'm just going to fill out my form and I'm going to keep my locations open and I'm going to pay $22 per location and that's fine. I don't care. You can do that. The system will let you do that. The Department of Revenue, we're not going to advise you to overpay your tax, but you as a taxpayer have the ability to do that if you leave the location open. The one thing you cannot do is to ignore an open location and try to file zero on it, because that won't work, because you're going to end up having to pay at least that minimum on any of the open locations. Okay. So again, start early, kind of figure out what you're doing, and go ahead and do that. And reach out to us too. If you get stuck or something, Katie will let you know how to get in contact with us, and we want to help you. Okay. So just know that.
Thanks. And I really do think that this the new threshold for deemed locations is going to make it easier for all of you contractors out there. I think this was something that would make me pretty excited if I was a contractor, simplify things just a little bit. All right, so I told you I was going to share some resources with you. This is a screenshot of our homepage where you can find tax manuals and important notices under tax resources, register, file, and pay on TNTAP, find help articles, and then general tax info under the taxes tab. But I'm going to actually take you over there real quick just to show you a few of these places. Let's see, we're going to go to tn.gov/revenue, and let's scroll out just a little bit so you can see. There we go. Here is our homepage at tn.gov/revenue. As I just pointed out, under tax resources, this is where you can go under tax guidance and see all of our tax manuals are housed right here. Of course, under business tax, I'm going to take you over to the business tax manual to show you the section that we have dedicated to contractors. Click on business tax manual. You can view prior versions by clicking here. We're going to look at the current business tax manual. And just to show you here, this is a great manual. I probably access this manual 20 times a day. maybe not that much, but 171 pages you can see here. But I'm going to scroll down through the table of contents just a bit and show you Chapter 11. I'm not making you dizzy by scrolling here. Chapter 11, Industry-Specific Guidance. We have a whole section here on contractors. I'm going to click on that directly from the table of contracts and contents, and you can see here several pages that if you're more of a, if it helps you make sense of things to read rather than seeing it visually or listening to it like in this webinar, then I highly recommend going over to our manual and checking out the industry specific guidance for contractors. Going back here, all right. I'm going to go back to the home page, tn.gov/revenue, and this is TNTAP where you'll file and pay. If you've never been to Revenue Help, great questions here, great answers here to a lot of common questions. You can just search in here for contractors and click search. So here we've got 48 results for the term contractor. So I would definitely recommend going here if you're a contractor or if you're a third party that works with contractors and seeing all the information we have out on our website here in Revenue Help on that topic as well. One other place I'm going to show you, if you are viewing this recording, you've already been to our Taxpayer Education webinars page, but I'm just going to call to your attention another specific webinar that we have for contractors. So on Taxpayer Education and Outreach, you're going to click on Tax Webinars right here. Scroll all the way down, and in the webinar video library, if you type in just the beginning here, you can see we also have a sales tax issues for contractors webinar. I was telling you earlier about how you can view the PDF to these webinars. This is how you do that in the grid. There's a PDF for each webinar. So check that out if you are a contractor. We'll go back over to slides here. So just a few more resources to share with you. Billy mentioned call us anytime. We have a great call center. It's very easy to get a human being on the phone if you've got questions, except for if it's filing day. Can't stress enough what he also told you about not waiting until April 15th to do so. You may not get a hold of us super quick if you do that. But our tax helpline is 615-253-0600. Yes, Billy.
Just a quick reminder too, Katie, along with the things that you have here on your screen, is a quick reminder to say on your business licenses, if you'll notice, a lot of them say that they expire on May 15th and not
Right.
April 15th. Well, that's because the law gives you an extra 30 days of license coverage after the due date of the return. So just remember, you don't really have till May 15th to file and pay business tax. It's due on April 15th if you're a December calendar year filer. Okay, we get that question every single solitary year by the dozens, and you know we have to charge penalty and interest if you're late. We don't
We
want
don't
to do
want to
that.
do that. No,
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 we're
we don't
not
want
in
to do
that business. We have to be because the law tells us to, but we
that.
don't want you to pay any extra. So if you would please make sure to file and pay on time. Also, one other thing too to mention along with that, there are certain taxes that have extensions, like franchise and excise has an extension process. Business tax does not have an extension process. Okay, so you're going to really need to file and pay on time. Okay, so just be aware of that because it's super critical and we don't want you to have to pay any extra at all. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Billy. Yep, filing deadline and the expiration on the license don't line up exactly. Make sure you file on time. Various ways that you can stay in touch with the Department of Revenue. You can see here Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn. You can sign up for email updates and find out about webinars that we're doing and other breaking news. You see our website here, our YouTube page, and a great way to get in touch with us is via email revenue.support@tn.gov. And again, our phone number for the tax helpline is 615-253-0600. And we have support staff available to answer those emails and answer the phone Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. Actually, a little bit beyond those hours because we've got some employees working from home now from the East Coast time zone. So we get to those emails and calls very quickly. So please reach out to us.
Just wanted to also
Yes.
say, what's interesting about us is if you call us or you send us an email, we're going to answer you. You're going to be able to talk to a human being. So
Right.
just be aware that you're not going to go into some kind of black hole. We are there to help you. Now, again, April 15th, we're going to be on fire. We always are. So
Mm-hmm.
just understand that our normal response times will lengthen just a little bit, but our goal is to get to every single one of you ASAP. Okay. So help us help you get going early, that kind of thing, like we were saying earlier. And, we're here to help you out.
Absolutely. Well, Billy, anything else about contractors that we want to share for now?
No, just to thank our contractors that do business in Tennessee, whether you're an in-state contractor or an out-of-state contractor, you are helping Tennessee grow. Tennessee grows exponentially, it seems, all the time. You can look across the skyline anywhere in Tennessee and see the activities you guys do.
It's
It's
crazy.
appreciated by your citizens, your fellow citizens here, and certainly your tax department as well. So again, we just appreciate what you guys are doing, and just know again that we're here to help you. Our job is to help you with your voluntary compliance. So we're glad to do that for you.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Okay,
Bye.
you have a good one, everyone. Bye bye.